Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to the southern wing of the Stink Bug Works. There seems to be a small amount of confusion in my 2S or N2 challenge. And so if there's confusion, then since I'm the only one talking, then I must not be doing a good job of splaining myself. So let me explain it some more just so everybody's clear. We all have a goal. So here's what I'm talking about. Here's the pond. Okay. And in this pond, you put two buoys 100 feet apart. And then you do 10 laps around those buoys and time it. And the time it takes you to do 10 laps across those buoys that are 100 feet apart, 10 laps across there, that's your time. Now, some people can't put buoys out in their pond. And I showed you how you can put a temporary buoy out there, with a piece of styrofoam and some string and a weight, and you just throw that out there, and that forms a buoy that you can pull back in. The other one was I was talking about a flagger, in pylon racing. So what you would do is you would have the pilot, the driver, standing here, and he's got his radio in his hand, right? And he's kind of sighting across the pond to a landmark over here, maybe it's a tree. So he's looking over here at something. And then you got a guy down here 100 feet away, and he's going to raise his arm or a flag, and he's also going to sight down something to, another tree here. So as your boat crosses his line of sight, he drops his hand. I'll take that instead of putting buoys out. You just kind of line of sight something here, and when you cross it, that's good. And then when you cross his line of sight, he drops his hand, and I'll accept that because we're not racing for world championship status. We're racing for Dr. Jet status. So this is good enough, and that's what I was talking about, a flagger, just so that when your boat is coming down here, when you've gone 100 feet. He'll go, now, and you can turn and go forth. So there's how to do it without any buoys. There you go. This guy, the clear paint is over there warming up underneath my illegal 100-watt light bulb. It'll be several hours before the paint comes up to temperature, but later on today, this will be getting clear coat. This guy, I'm still thinking about how I'm going to mount the motor. Now, I like batteries down in the sponson, which moves the weight forward. The speed control is just a freaking brick. It weighs a ton, and it's looking like it's going to go forward, so the motor's going to have to go aft here. And in reality, I don't like having to get in here and get at the motor mounting screws. It's just an inconvenience. Now, Big B uses a flex driver with a with a wrench to hold it, and that works pretty good, but it's still awkward. So I'm trying to dream up something where I could mount the motor to some form of plate, like a carbon fiber motor mount plate, that would drop into something and something quick would attach it, a lever or a couple of screws, something, you know. But just trying to get at those motor mounting screws and getting the holes aligned, it's such a pain in the arse. It's just, I would rather just have something that could drop in. Additionally, I'm using that 1506 motor because I have it. And in reality, a better choice for this would be a 1509 or maybe even a 1512 of appropriate kV. That way you can turn a bigger prop. This little motor is going to turn a small prop really fast. So, and I can do props up to 35, 36 millimeters. That's pretty good size. But on a boat this size, you should be able to run, 38 to 42 millimeters on something this big. Although, this harkens back to Gary Finley's designs, and his 1/16 scale boats were roughly this size, and they ran on an X430 with a car motor between 4 and 5,000 kV, which is kind of what I've got. It's a car motor between 4 and 5,000 kV or a little more in this size hull, although this hull is considerably heftier than one of Gary's, but that's what it is. But the motor's considerably beefier than a car motor. There you go. Decisions. So I haven't done anything on this yet. This will get paint and reassembly. And this is still in the thinking stage while I finish that up and so forth. So I'm going to try to come up with a clever way to mount a motor that it's easy in, easy out, and I don't have to fight with screws going up at an angle that's in a little tiny, hard to get at, and they got to be short screws. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out. Welcome back, boys and girls, to a special encore performance. I want to add in just a couple of more things to think about. In the N2 challenge, the 2S challenge, I set the buoys up at 100 feet apart. And the reason for that is severalfold. One, because, not everybody has a huge pond. And two, because it's going to limit the size of what you build. Let's think about it. Here I am, hovering way up in the air, and here's, my pen's drying out. Here's one buoy, here's another buoy. And I'm way the heck up here in a helicopter looking down, and that's 100 feet across. Now, let's just say I had a full-scale 200-mile-an-hour H-1 hydroplane, and I wanted to take my 200-mile-an-hour H-1 hydroplane around this course. What would I be doing? I would be doing a big circle, because there's no way I could go down 100-foot straight and turn on that buoy and come back. Now, back to Big B's video. He ran a 34-inch hydroplane and a 35-inch monohull with about the same power. And so it was a real good observation of the differences between the two. The hydro was faster in the straights, as you would expect, but it had to swing a wider corner because of those speeds. Whereas the V-hull, because of its design, it can lay over and hook a turn, where a hydro basically slides around the curve with the turn fin in the water and everything's just hanging off that turn fin, and it's doing all the work pulling the boat around the turn. So you have this, you have your buoy here, and your smaller, lighter, more maneuverable boat can come in here and turn around the buoy and go back. Your bigger, faster, less maneuverable boats are going to have to come in from here and swing past the buoy like that. And at some point, your boat's going to get big and fast enough that you're just going to be doing a 100-foot diameter circle. So, size and power have something to do with this. And from looking at this drawing, I'm thinking a ridiculously overpowered small boat, not a small bolt, but a small bolt might work. A ridiculously overpowered small boat might be better than a ridiculously overpowered big boat. So there you go, boys and girls. More things to think about in the Dr. Jet Challenge. Until next time, Jet